Would have been depth 20 tomorrow. Unfortunately, it won't see depth 20. Blossom end split. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over the patch. Been a while since I did an update, and quite a few things have changed, so we'll get right into it. First thing you'll notice is the scale is not on the 2376. Had to be moved, and the reason is we had a blossom end split on it. I may cut into this to see what happened, but just looking at it, it does look fairly thick there. So looking at my tissue test that I took, calcium was high, so it doesn't appear to be calcium related unless it's a ratio thing. Either it was a growth spurt or looking at the rain that we had that week, we had a lot of rain, so the scale wasn't really jumping up pounds wise. It was only jumping up like 10 pounds a day at that time, and that was at like day 19 that it split. So between day 18 and 19, it wasn't really doing a whole lot, and it only grew, like I said, 10 to 12 pounds there. So I think it was something internally that was happening. Kind of interesting that it happened while it was on the scale. So I do have another one on the scale. It's the 2195 tile. We'll get to that in a minute, but just looking at the growth differential, it's drastic. So I'm thinking that the blossom end splits start to happen a few days before they actually occur. So get on to the next fruit. Before we move on to the next one, I did pollinate another one on the 2376 Bayuk. So hopefully that one takes. It's on a secondary about 12 foot out, so we'll see. If it takes, it takes. At least get a nice genetic cross. I pollinated that one with the 1989.5 Conway again, so see how it does. The plant is a little lighter in color due to the rain, so I'm trying to ramp up the fertilizers and keep it balanced at the same time. Obviously this picked up in a growth spurt as soon as I pulled that fruit off, so definitely got to get it back in line and balanced. Next we'll jump to the 150 patch. So the way that I'm growing this, if you haven't watched the other videos, is it's a 1 foot strip here of main, and then it's boxed out. Can't remember the exact dimensions offhand. It's somewhere around like 8 foot by 16 foot or something like that to make the 150. So doing okay. Secondary growth has been a little bit slower. Picked it up lately. I picked up a little bit extra fertilizers on it. I did have one squash open here. Not really a keeper there. I wanted one towards the end here, so I do have this one that's going to open tomorrow. Again, this is the 1620.5 tile. And then what I'll plan is to grow that one there, probably deadhead it, and then swoop a secondary back that way from the opposite side. I'm gonna loop it around. So trying a little something different with my secondaries in this. Anything that comes off this way, if I can't turn it, I cut it, but if I can turn it, I'm turning it back around and actually doubling up my secondaries between the secondaries on the other side. So we'll see how that works out. It may be a jungly mess, or it may do really well, but trying to increase the roots more than anything, because what I'll probably do is, if I don't cut off all the leaves, I'll cut off every other leaf on the vines between the secondaries that are supposed to be on this side. Moving to this way, we have the 563.5 tile, and that's a nice wash. It's the 1109 Drew Trish Time Self. A bit of a wheel, but not too bad. It's been growing pretty good. Can't remember the depth offhand, but it's probably somewhere around 16. I would have to guess, something like that. 14, 15, 16, somewhere in that range. But growing pretty well. Plant, again, the ones on this end of the patch are a little lighter in color, and again, I think it's just because of the placement in the patch. You can obviously tell it where there's less dense weeds, and the soil is just a little bit more compact, so it's a little rougher of an area in the patch for sure. Moving on here to the stripped down 1965.5 Rotoball. Again, Chris, sorry, it's a terrible spot in the patch apparently. Just been battling everything budding out. Obviously a nutrient imbalance. It's not really worth tissue testing at this point, but what I will say is I would not shy away from growing the seed, because A, it's a beautiful pumpkin, and B, from the size of plant that it's growing on, this is somewhere around a depth, I believe 18 or 19 maybe. It is a gorgeous fruit, and it is a great size for the size plant. We're probably somewhere around 150 square feet on this plant. This probably could qualify for the 150 patch. I may just kind of tape it out and see what the actual size is, because it's moving pretty good. So great fruit, terrible conditions right now, but we'll see what we get out of it. Might have a Howard Dill Award or a 150 contest winner. We'll see what we can get out of it, but excellent fruit for sure. Next up here we have the 2493 Wolf. Plant's been coming out a little bit stronger now with the secondaries. It was slow out the gate. Again, a lot of rain, so still trying to keep the nutrients where they need to be without going too crazy on them. Pumpkin is doing really well. Really has come on great here in the last 4 or 5 days, and it looks like it's going to be a beauty as well. So good shape. I believe this one is day 14 if I'm not mistaken, so pretty big day 14 fruit. For those that ask, I did deadhead the majority of my mains. Only one plant has its main, and I'll show you that in a little bit, but I deadhead and then I turn back the secondary after the fruit, and I grow it out and around. Just seems it's a lot easier for positioning, and again, not sure if it's gains weight or loses weight or whatnot, but it was more of a positioning thing for me on this one. So got enough plant behind it, and we're just working again plant maintenance and condition. One thing you'll notice with my plants and patch is weeds. I did hit the perimeter with some Roundup. It didn't do a whole lot with the rain, so knocked it back a little bit, but not a whole lot there. And then I'm gonna hit it with a grass killer only in these areas and see if that helps. If it does, then I'll hit more areas, but I think I'm just going to be managing the weeds. I won't be eliminating the weeds. Do the best as I can around. Obviously vines is what I've been crucial on. If you look, my main vines are pretty clear, so that's the most important part, is your main vine. But obviously if you can get the rest of the plant, great. I just been struggling with it with all the rain that we've had. Go on to the next plant. So now we're on the 2195 tile. This is where I moved the scale to. Main reason I chose this one over, say, the 2493 is just because of vine positioning. One thing I'll show you, this is on a secondary. So the vine going to the fruit is actually this one. One thing I'm trying is it's not the last one. It's probably the 4th or 5th. Looks like the 4th back on the vine. So usually people grab the one right at the end because it's the leading tip that takes over, a dominant tip. So we'll see if this vine thickens up. So take a look at that thickness on the secondary. It's not very thick. It's maybe an inch, inch and a quarter, and then it goes into the fruit. This fruit has been doing quite well. I'll show you the scale setup here. Setting right around 99 pounds this morning. It's been growing all night, so we'll see how it goes. So looks like it's a perfect acquisition to the scale, with the easy availability to the secondary, and where it sits. I'm growing again about 2 to 3 feet after that secondary. I've got 2 secondaries coming off, and then I'm growing tertiaries off of there, and then I have all the secondary growth still to fill in. Again, I hit this with Roundup, so hopefully some more of it dies back. If not, I'll hit it again with the weed whacker, and then be able to bury vines a little bit. But that's pretty much the setup for the scale. We'll just go ahead and slide over to the last fruit, which is the 1989.5 Conway. This fruit is 29 days old. Doing pretty well. It's not on pace for anything world record breaking or anything like that, but it is a pretty good sized fruit. Hopefully it goes heavy like Tanner's did. I tape it tomorrow for depth 30. Haven't taped it since depth 27. It was sitting, I believe, on depth 27. It was sitting somewhere around 360 pounds. So like I said, nothing crazy, but a good solid fruit. So plant's looking in good shape, just like the others. A little bit lighter on the tips, and I've got to get them you know, balanced out with the nutrients. If you remember too, this plant was the one hit the hardest in the storm, and it's come back from that pretty well. So that's about it on the update, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and kind of see where I'm at, and hopefully your grows are going well. We'll be measuring for depth 30, like I said, tomorrow, and then you'll see that on the Pumpkin Wars updates once we have everybody's on it. Catch you all on the next one. Thanks for watching.